This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com, and I have a special guest here who you may remember from the Attitude Era in WWE back when they were killing it in the ratings. The man himself, Jason Sensation. How are you today, good sir?
I'm doing okay, thanks. Pleasure to see you again, Dave. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Dave, who do you think I am? You can call me Hannibal.
Sorry, Hannibal. I'm
Well,
sorry,
you
I
know
just
that
talked to Dave Curran. I'm mixed up. We're doing a podcast now.
we are. That's quite a collection of figures you have back there.
Thanks. No, I mean me and my buddy Dave are doing a podcast now. My buddy Dave Curran, and I just finished working with him, so I apologize.
Oh, I see. I get it now. I thought you might have been thinking of Dave Meltzer.
No, my bad, Dave Curran. I just finished chatting with him, so I apologize, Hannibal. But keep an
Can
eye
you
open.
do a Dave Meltzer impression, by the way?
I don't think so. No, I haven't tried that one, but I'm sure I could try it, but it's just not one I've ever, I don't know. It's not one I've been.
Your Ric Flair is actually spot on. I just finished watching a video on your YouTube channel where you were doing it for Bret Hart. Could I get a sample of that?
Sure. Yeah, Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Woo! I even got my teeth all screwed up right now, so I can even look like Ric Flair almost. Woo! Kiss stealing, wheeling, dealing. I'm a bicycle riding, jet flying, dick beating, bat tweeting, son of a gun. Woo! Sorry. That's my little gimmick.
That one's pretty good. Can you do Bret?
Yeah. Did you see the commercial for Bret's new movie? I'm a human wrecking machine. Somebody's better start answering some damn questions. Oh, I love it.
That, well, we know weed is legal in Canada. I think we need to have a little bit of that before watching that movie.
For sure. And make sure there's no kids in the room. Yikes.
Now, what about the Ultimate Warrior? He's a really popular subject on this channel. He seems like he'd be one of the easier ones to do.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Warrior. I loved him, and sorry we lost him.
I'm the Ultimate Warrior. Feel the power and the electricity of the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, he's underrated. Brutus Beefcake in an interview with me. I know you were probably there WrestleMania 6, but Brutus Beefcake alleged in an interview with me that the crowd all booed when the Warrior beat Hogan in Toronto.
That's not true. The crowd was a lot more split that night than The Rock versus Hogan. The crowd was solely behind Hogan for Rock versus Hogan, but the crowd was split for Warrior Hogan. That's my opinion. I was in the crowd.
Yeah, I remember that one, and I definitely think the Warrior was underrated. I know you can do a mean Hulk Hogan impression. Could we hear that?
Well, you know something, brother. Hulkamania's still running wild, man. Still training, still saying my prayers, still eating my vitamins, man. There's my birdies in the background, brother. They don't know how to shut up, man. But if they don't, I'm going to show them Hulkamania can still run wild on you, birdies, and I'll send you flying outside. Then what you going to do when the smallest arms in the world run wild on you, brother?
Your arms, actually, you're in pretty good shape. I saw a couple of videos of you. Your delts are popped out. You're in better shape, actually, now than you were when you were on Raw. You're in pretty impressive condition.
Oh, that's nice of you to say. Coming from a guy you're in shape, man. Like you're in worker shape, But I appreciate that. Al Snow, I think it was Al Snow who once said, just because if you're skinny and you have abs, that doesn't count. And I'm like, hey, so I don't know. But it's just like I'm skinny, but you're right. It always messes with me that it took me 10 years after I had that contract to finally get in shape.
When did you first discover that you had a talent better than the majority of us for actually being able to impersonate these wrestlers?
Um, yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess it kind of came organically. I was a big fan of Macho Man, did him a lot. That just came organically, and I don't know. My mom introduced me to Andre Philippe Gagnon, who was singing like "We Are the World." He was doing all the voices of "We Are the World," and it inspired me. My mom said that could be your gift, so I started to try other wrestlers, and I was wrestling with my brothers a lot, and we would do promos and things. But I think it was when my sister called me onto this talk show, Camilla Scott, that was local in Toronto. Well, it wasn't. It was a nationwide show, but it was filmed locally. And I think it was then that I went on the show and people were requesting voices, and I was able to do them. And I didn't even realize I could only do Hulk Hogan and Macho Man at the time. And then all these voices were coming out. Can you do Razor? Can you do Gold Dust? And all these voices were just coming out naturally. And I think, and the audience was going crazy. And I think that's when I realized, wait, I may have something here. This might be my ticket in to make my dream come true. So there you have it.
You're known for your Macho Man one. Could if I were to ask Macho Man about Stephanie McMahon, that famous rumor, what would the Macho Man have to say about that?
Are you trying to get me murdered? Okay.
Hey,
Oh
I
no.
pick you over Poffo. If he had an issue, I put my money on you.
Sure. Okay.
Well, I don't know. I'm gonna plead the Fifth Amendment. Yeah, what it is what it is. And like Dusty Rhodes says, maybe nobody will ever know. Oh yeah. Dig it. Unless it's my grave. Yeah, 'cause I'm still alive. Yeah, dig it.
That's pretty damn good. I don't think we could find a better Macho Man impression in this world than that.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate that.
Now, what about Lanny? He's an easier one to do. Could you do Lanny the Genius?
I've never really tried, Lanny, but let me try.
I'm the genius, Lenny Poffo, the world's smartest man.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Thanks. Lanny.
So I guess you ended up getting picked up by WWE. They saw you on TV or something doing your impressions, and at the time they thought it'd be cool to bring you in for a skit, or how did it work?
Yeah, it was me bothering, like I'd gone to broadcasting school, so I had a little video and I sent it into, we had a WWF Canada at the time, and Carl DeMarco had taken over for Jack Tunney. And I was bothering Carl DeMarco every chance I got and sending him these videos from my broadcasting school. But there was also the Hart Foundation feud going on at the time, where the Hart Foundation was getting booed in the States and cheered in Canada. And so there was a lot of filming going on in Canada. And I would show up at some of those. Like when Brett won the belt, I actually got on Raw as a fan doing impressions when Brett won the belt. So that was my real first Raw appearance in like '97. But then it was Carl DeMarco. He was bringing me in to do some Home Shopping Network things, and yeah, it was actually Owen Hart who introduced me to Carl DeMarco at a meet and greet. So it's funny how that worked. He's the first person I did an impression for, and he was like, he was sitting with Bulldog. He's like, those are really good. And Bulldog's like, yeah, Bulldog's like, you can't do Owen. And I'm like, I'm a Slammy Award winner. Woo! And Bulldog's laughing his head off. And Owen's like, can you do Bulldog though? And I'm the British Bulldog. I'll feed you dog food. And they were having a ball laughing. And then Owen brought me in backstage pretty much just to rib the boys. I ended up getting kicked out by Georgie Animal Steel. But I met Carl DeMarco there. And, you know, he gave me the opportunity of a lifetime when Vince came in to do Off the Record with Michael Landsberg and brought me to TSN. And in between the two shows where Vince was like getting grilled so bad by Michael Landsberg, and he was just like, he was having an awful interview, and now he's just trying to breathe in between the shows. So it was a lot of comic relief for Vince at the time. And Carl's like, you got to meet this guy. And I was doing the voices, and Vince was like,
Well, nobody can do Shawn Michaels.
and I was like,
I'm the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
and Vince was like,
We're going to get you on air, kid.
and so yeah, he kept his promise. So it was really fortunate to have that opportunity there. It was cool.
Have you seen some of Harry Smith's impressions? He's pretty good.
He is. Yeah, really funny. Yeah, I'm a big fan of his impressions. Yeah, he's good. He does Arn Anderson better than me.
Oh, I haven't heard his Arn Anderson. I've heard his Dynamite Kid, which is pretty damn good. Can you do Dynamite Kid?
I could try. We know me and the Bulldog, we're going to get in the ring. We're going to slam him. We're going to put the drop kick. We're going to get on the top rope. We're going to give him the headbutt. And the Bulldogs, we're going to win. Right, Davey? That's right. Me and the Dynamite, we're going to take you out. He said he's going to give you the drop kick. I'm going to be the power slam. And the British Bulldogs will stand tall.
That's awesome. Arn Anderson. I never even heard an Arn Anderson impression.
I don't even know if I could do it, but I could try. It's every time I try to do it, it sounds like Austin, but we'll try.
I'm Arn Anderson, the Four Horsemen. And that's the bottom line.
See, I'm already going into Austin.
And that's the bottom line.
Harry can do it better.
Yeah, the Austin one is pretty good. Can we hear some more of the Steve Austin? I'm a big fan of his.
The bottom line is, I don't even know who Jason Sensation is. I don't want to hear him in his little raspy voice. And if I hear him on the line one more time doing my voice, I'm going to put on my wife beater and whoop his ass. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. Give me a hell yeah.
Have you tried Austin's beer yet? I don't think it's available in Canada.
Not Canada, no, but I'd be interested to. I've actually tried to stay off the sauce for a little bit because, me and
Hey, I know what that's like. Trust me.
Okay, gotcha.
Let's say Austin did tell me he was going to send me some of his beer to sample.
Awesome.
Could you do an impression of Austin, but telling him to send both you and I some of his beer to sample?
Hey, son, I got a couple of friends, Hannibal and Sensation. They ain't never tried my beer because they ain't available in Canada yet. So why don't you ship them down a couple of Stone Cold Steve Weisers, and that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. Give me a hell yeah. 1 beer, 2 beer, 3 beer, 4, 5 beer, 6 beer, 7 beer more. Hell yeah.
Now you did Arn Anderson. You can't do Arn Anderson without Sid, his old knife fighting buddy.
Let's give it a shot.
I'm the master and the ruler of the world, and you'll feel the power of Sid.
I don't know.
You're almost going to pass out after that.
Tell me about it.
Now, I personally really like Sid. Did you ever meet him, and how did he treat you?
I never got to meet Sid, unfortunately, but yeah, I always admired him, and I thought he got bad flack for some reason. I really think he's a good guy. Like from what I've seen and from what I've heard, I think he's an intelligent, good guy, and I was always a fan of him as a wrestler. And I don't know, I really think it's too bad. Like he made it to where like, he's done it all. He's been the world champion. He did it all, but I just feel like they could have done so much more with him.
Yeah,
anyway,
he never reached his full potential whatsoever. Yeah. I was there. He was over like you couldn't be more over than he was, but for whatever reason, maybe it was politics, maybe he didn't stay in one promotion long enough. He never really got it. But actually, I'm friends with the guys that run his social media. If you could do another Sid one, I'll put it as an individual clip. They'll probably share it.
Okay. What lingo do you want me to use? I don't know.
Do one of Sid saying he's check out Psycho Sid's 2 shoot interviews on the Hannibal TV, something along those lines, because I did 2 shoots with him.
Okay.
Check out Hannibal for Psycho Sid shoot interview if you want to hear the truth.
I don't know, man. You run out of the lingo sometimes doing so many.
Can you do any females?
I'd like to. No, I don't know. Let me think. It's a bad joke. Um, I used to be able to do Luna Vachon, rest her soul, so I'll give that one a try. I'm Luna Vachon, Sherry Martel. I am the woman of the World Wrestling Federation. So there's one anyway.
She was underrated for sure.
Oh yeah, and she was such a sweetheart too. She was so kind to me. She really liked her and
Gangrel.
well, yeah, they took me under their wing. They were really nice to me. Yeah.
How long were you actually on the road for with the WWE? I know you were doing openings to shows. I remember specifically, I've told you this before, before a house show in Ottawa, you opened the house show. You went in the ring for like 5 minutes, did impressions, got the crowd fired up. Was this something you did in many cities?
Yeah, I was doing that a lot, and I was traveling with them. Maybe about 3 months doing that. It's just too bad. Like I got stopped at the border, and they hadn't given me the right documentation to be working for them. I didn't have the green card. I'd been begging for it because I had to lie over the border all the time. Yeah, I'm going to see my uncle Vince Russo. He's my uncle. I just kept coming up with something new, and finally I got stopped at immigration, and they were like, "Hey, we saw you on Raw last week. Sorry, you can't be crossing the border without a green card. We know who you are now." I shouldn't have been dressed in the same clothes that I was in on Raw the week before, but oh well. So that kind of stopped it, and it's just kind of too bad. Right, just as I was about to make my return to be doing those, unfortunately Owen passed away, and I was actually going to be doing this big performance at the docks with Owen, hosting it, and Owen was going to be there, and we were going to do this funny gimmick of becoming friends again. He had this great idea where I would become his manager. It's just too bad we didn't get to do it. It was a brilliant idea, and it would have got him away from the Deborah angle. So he was trying to, he had pitched it so much, but they just weren't. Russo wasn't into it. He was like, "Bro, what do you want, bro? Do you want like Owen? You got Jeff, you got Deborah, you got Coco, you got the Blazer. Now you want Jason. You got your own NWO, bro." So Russo wasn't into the gimmick, but I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, I think that would have got over for sure. But with your Russo impression, he does say "bro" a little bit more often than you gave him credit for in that. What would Owen Hart have to say about this lockdown? Because I keep thinking of his catchphrase every day when I wake up and can't go to the gym here.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, honestly, I would say he's saying, you know what? Unlike all you people that are so miserable out there, you're unhappy and you're miserable inside your houses. I'm completely thrilled and happy because I love nothing more than to spend time with my wife and my children. And that's where I want to be, right here, right now with my family. And I'm not miserable like all you people. I'm happy with my family, with my wife, Martha, and my kids, Oj and Athena. And we don't need any worries about this pandemic because we're happy together. But still, stay safe, everybody, and stay home. There you go.
Yeah, Owen was definitely a family man. Are you looking forward to watching the dark side of the ring? About as sad as it is, we can't really say looking forward to it, but it's going to be cool that at least they're dedicating an episode to Owen. I'm sure it's going to go over everything about him, not just the death.
And I am looking forward to it. I think there's a lot of I've never seen Martha's side of it, or I just saw a clip of it, and I couldn't believe it was the first time I've ever seen his daughter since since the Stampede show. So it's like that from that side. I'm really looking forward to at least see more of their side of it, and I've never really heard from them over the years. So it'd be interesting to hear from them. Yeah.
If they ever did an Owen Hart DVD going over his career, I wish they would have you narrate it as Owen
Oh,
Hart.
that's appreciate
Have you
that.
ever tried an Andre impression? That's got to be one of the tougher ones.
Oh yeah, I guess I've tried it. Yeah, let me give it a shot.
Hulk Hogan, I'm gonna live as I am. I'm gonna choke you, Hulkamania. Yeah, man.
I don't know.
What about Jake the Snake?
That was always a tough one because he's such a monotone, but I'll give it a shot.
Listen, man, I'm Jake the Snake. Okay, DDT, DDT. Trust me, Ultimate Warrior. Trust me, the Snake Man.
I don't know. It's kind of a monotone one. It's not one of my best ones, but I could fake it.
What did you think of that segment with the Ultimate Warrior when they put him in that room with all the snakes back in the early 90s? That sticks out in my head as
Oh.
like one of the most interesting Jake the Snake promos.
No, agreed. Yeah, I really loved that. It's too bad it didn't go. I think Jake left right after that, or Warrior went missing right after that. Something happened to where that angle didn't get to play out. But I thought that was some of the best television the week in and the week out. And, I think Warrior ended up in a grave and a snake pit and all these different things, even in a coffin. Yeah, I thought that was some of their best stuff. I loved it. Yeah.
Jake was telling me that the Warrior, like they told the Warrior to like shuffle his feet, but apparently he was like stepping on all the snakes, and then they were like coming up and biting his ankles.
Oh my
So he
gosh.
said he quite enjoyed watching that.
That must have been awful. You know what? I can't stand watching all these guys. I realized Warrior rubbed all these people the wrong way, and maybe I'd have a different opinion if I knew him better. I only kind of briefly met him at Owen's funeral, but I don't know. It's just like he's been gone what 6 years now, and I mean to hear people still coming out and bashing him. I mean, you got his kids out there. You've seen his kids. Everybody's got their. I mean, he's been bashed to the end of the earth and back on that video, and then he even went out and he told the world, he's like, hey, you broke my heart when you said these things about me. And you still have these people coming out and saying all these awful things about him. And it hurts me because I hurt for his children because they don't need to hear that stuff. It's like, let it go, but oh, well, what can I do? It's out of my hands.
Well,
As
that's
Tracy
the
Smothers
wrestling
would say.
industry.
Yeah, exactly. As Tracy Smothers would say, you know the deal, man. We can't change the world. I mean, it's like this and like that and like this. And I hope he's doing well, too. My heart goes out to him. He's struggling right now, but his health. But love
Yeah,
that.
he's got a GoFundMe going. I think he has my second longest shoot interview. Jerry Jarrett was
Oh,
the
wow.
longest, over 4 hours, but Tracy Smothers was near 4 hours. I'm sure you have a Jerry Jarrett impression. That's a pretty easy one.
I've never even actually tried that one. No. Why? Can you do that one?
I can, but I'm shy. I'm shy to do my impressions. Maybe I'd have to have a few
You're
of
like a
those
puppet
Steve
over here.
Wonders. If Steve was nice enough to send us a 12-pack, I'd try and match you on every one of them.
That'd be funny, actually. Let's maybe try to do that in the future.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you must have a Stu Hart one. Everybody has a Stu Hart impression.
Well, it's not as good as Brett's, but I'll give it a shot. Yeah. Well, if you wanted to try me, why didn't you try me? No, it's not as it's not as good as even Brett does it so much better. I don't do him justice.
Harry Smith recently put a post up of, I don't know how he pulled this off, but he was calling into Livewire with Vince Russo and Jim Ross, like one after another, doing different voices, asking WCW related questions, and you could see how frustrated they were getting.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was quite hilarious, but like I don't know how he managed to get like one after another on the line, but
that's so funny. No, I didn't hear that. That's great. Well, he's a great guy. I love Harry.
I know that Harry and Owen have used their impressions for ribs like that. Have you ever used your impressions for reasons to get back at people or to play jokes on people?
I'm sure I have over the years. I've done a lot of things. I mean, I don't even know what comes to mind right now, but I'd have to think about it, but I do it all the time. I just did it last week. There was actually a neighbor. I was angry and yelling about someone, and the neighbor was like, "Jason, is that you?" And I was like, "Who the hell is that?" And I just went into Austin and was like, who the hell is yelling right now?" And then I was like, "Hey," and I faked the conversation, shutting Austin up. But I don't know. I do it all the time. There was one funny rib pulled on me where Owen was calling guys just as his own self, saying, "Hey, how you doing? Yeah, you're a piece of garbage." Like at 4 a.m. in their hotel rooms. Hey, it's Austin. Hey, Austin, it's Owen. What do you want, Owen? It's 4 a.m. Yeah, you're a piece of garbage. You learn how to wrestle, and hang up the phone. And then whoever would come to him the next day, he'd be like, "I didn't call you. Must have been that impersonator does my voice. Must be him calling everybody." So I ended up getting, I remember Bradshaw finally grabbed me one day in the dressing room. "You call me at 4 a.m. in the morning?" And I was like, "No, I didn't call you." He gave me the worst wedgie, almost ripped my underwear, lifted me up with the wedgie, screamed the hell out of me. But anyway, yeah. So
there was actually a wedgie given by Bradshaw in the WWE dressing room. The people that are so touting anti-bullying, they have wrestlers going around giving other talent wedgies. That's hilarious.
Oh, you don't want to hear my horror stories.
Oh, of course I do. Yeah, that's what we all want to hear.
The guys can't say me too, though. I'm just joking. I'm not joking, but we don't want to get into all that. Maybe I'll need a few Steve Weisers to get into all that stuff.
It'd be funny if every time you go to a town where a wrestler lives, you call up one of his enemies as that person from that area code and just stir up the pot. Like, for instance, Brian Blair, if you go to Florida, you call up the Iron Sheik.
That's hilarious. "Hey, Brian Blair, you no good son of a bitch. You." Okay, I'm not going to go.
I just interviewed Brian Blair yesterday, so.
Oh, yeah? Awesome. Yeah. How's he doing?
He's doing great.
Oh,
apparently,
awesome.
He's one of the few wrestlers that saved his money well, and he now runs the Cauliflower Alley. He's the president of the Cauliflower Alley Club.
Oh, that's awesome. Amazing.
But he finds the Sheik stuff funny, so you could go ahead and finish off what you were saying about him as the Sheik. He won't be offended.
I was just repeating that RF video. That's such a classic. "You suck, Hulk Hogan." And no, I'm not going to go into it. It's too much.
Yeah, I actually saw on your YouTube channel, which I think it's just called Jason Sensation, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, or the real Jason Sensation.
The real Jason, because you probably have impersonators like all the big stars do. And
yeah, big star over here. But no, there are people who mess with me.
Well, even Tank Abbott, who's been off the main radar for years, he was telling me the other day there's so many fake Tank Abbott accounts out there, which is just
yeah, I can imagine.
But what I found interesting on your YouTube channel, there's a video of you, Nikolai Volkov, and the Sheik, and you said they're your favorite tag team of all time, and you're the first person I've ever heard say that.
Well, I do love them, but I don't know if I might have been, kissing a little bit of ass at the moment. But I'm gonna say they're in my top 10. My favorite of all time is the British Bulldogs, second the Steiners, and third the Hart Foundation.
Can you do Scott Steiner?
Big Papa Pop, Big Papa Pop, it's your hookup. Holler if you hear me.
Actually, one time, funny story, Bret Hart, because Bret loves my Papa Pump impression. So one time I got to meet Papa Pump through Bret, and Bret's like, you got to do the impression for him. I'm like, he'll kill me. I'm afraid of him. And Bret's like, no, just do it. Like, Scotty, you got to hear this. You got to hear it. And Scott Steiner's just looking at me, and I'm like,
Big Papa Pop, holler if you hear me.
And then Papa Pump didn't budge. He just stared at me, and he's like, you're crazy. And Bret just laughed his ass off. But anyway, it was a fun meeting.
Now, Road Warriors are going to be the subject of this week's Dark Side of the Ring. I'm working on a compilation video of them right now. Actually, could you give us any Road Warriors?
Sure, I'll give it a shot. A funny story about the Road Warriors as well, but okay, here goes. Let me try Animal. Let me go back.
We're the toughest tag team in the world. LOD, the Road Warriors. Tell 'em, Hawk. Well, we're gonna tear your limbs off. What a rush.
There you go.
Nice.
Funny little story about them. Thanks. It's all right. It's been a while. But I was supposed to impersonate them the week after I came back from impersonating Owen Hart, and he had slapped me, and I did a couple of things with him. I was going to impersonate the LOD. So they had the foam, the foam shoulder pad, and I had my face painted and everything. And my little body under the foam. It was going to be hilarious, and I was going to go out with Hawk, who was kind of playing the drunk gimmick at the time, and he was going to bring me out to try to, get some cheers because he was getting booed lately. And it was minutes before that Russo changed it. He's just like, because of the seriousness of the angle with Hawk, they thought, now you're going to go out and it's kind of going to make this whole serious angle we've started with Hawk a joke. So we're going to cancel it. And I was so hurt. I don't know if they were testing me to see if I would freak out, or test how I would deal with.
What were you supposed to do?
I was supposed to go out with Hawk and impersonate Hawk and Animal dressed up, and Hawk was going to use it to try to be like, he's coming out and he's going to try to stop drinking. He's going to try to clean himself up, and then almost bring me out as to try to bring the cheers and, comic relief after the serious thing. But Russo said it was too serious what he was going through. So he ended up going and just doing the broadcast table. And I didn't end up getting to go do it. But very good guys. There was one time I was walking from the airport, and I was walking with all of this luggage, and it was so much luggage, and I didn't have a license at the time. And I used to beg guys to ride with them. And at that time I was just like, forget it. So I was lugging all this luggage up a highway, and the LOD pulled over and picked me up. They brought me to the hotel. Then I find out I didn't have a room at that hotel. So LOD was like, you got to get him a room. And they actually got me a room at this really nice hotel, paid for it. Like, they got it put under the company as well. So they were really both very good to me. And, I really respect them, and I'll always appreciate the way they treated me. Really good guys.
And I do have to say, I am friends with Vince Russo, but I hated that angle. That was a horrible, stupid, awful angle they did with the Hawk, and it went nowhere. It went absolutely nowhere.
That's the thing, is that it went nowhere. Yeah, it's too bad. And it was a little, with the Titantron, I think that was a little bit, when I did that tweet, that was a little bit along those lines. Like, back then you could get away with joking about stuff like that. But anyway, it's like the tweet. It wasn't a joking matter,
No, and there's so much more they could have done with the LOD. They wasted LOD actually last run.
Yeah, and a lot of it, I really didn't like a lot of the run with LOD. I felt like they never got to be like, I don't know, the team that they really were everywhere else. It's almost like they got brought in and they took so long to win the belts. And I just felt like they should have came in and railroaded everybody and been able to be the LOD kick everybody's ass like they were everywhere else. But
anyway. And then, of course, there was the puppet Rocco.
Oh my gosh, I forgot that was the worst. That had to be maybe the worst. And like along the lines of George Steele's mine. He had a toy too. Oh my gosh, that was bad.
You had these ass kicker guys that everyone thought was legit. Yeah. And they have like a puppet. It's hard to believe anyone thought that was a good idea.
I bet you Bruce Pritchard came up with that.
I bet you he did too. I 100% bet you. Now Roddy Piper, he's one that I'm sure you have something. He would be like a tough impersonation to do, but I'm sure if anyone could do it, it's you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, and it's funny. I was never able to do Roddy Piper's impression. I even got to hang out with him for a whole weekend. This one awesome weekend that Brett invited me to. So it was really, I'm really fortunate for that. What a great guy he is, and I met his son as well, and just really wonderful man. And I could never do his voice, so I felt bad that I couldn't. When I was doing all these guys for him, I couldn't do this voice at the time. But it was a few years ago. I was watching a primetime wrestling. This is what happens sometimes with my impressions. I was watching an old primetime, and it just came to me that I just started repeating it to my brother, and it came to me. So I'll try to do that primetime that first finally gave me the impression of Roddy Piper. And it was when Keenan got him kicked off of prime
Oh, I
time.
remember that episode.
So he comes on at the end. He's like, I'm I'm not allowed to be on prime time anymore because Boobs, he's got me kicked off because he was saying that Santa Claus isn't real. Well, you know what, Boobs? Santa Claus is real. And there's no way that you're going to come out here and tell my kids that Santa Claus isn't real. You understand, Boobsies? I may be a nice guy, but I'll kick your ass, Boobies. So I'm not going to be on prime time anymore. So thank you very much. And this is my last episode. Goodbye. There you go.
That's pretty damn good.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it, Hannibal.
What about these guys? Are probably two of the easier ones, Axe and Smash.
Oh, yeah.
I'm X, he's Smash, and we're the Demolition. That's right. We're gonna kick your stinking teeth in.
There you go. I got to work on some of this. It's been
I'm
a while.
sure you probably agree with me. What the hell was up with WrestleMania 7? Like, they bring in these Japanese guys, nobody knows who the hell they are, and they beat Demolition, and then Demolition just disappears.
Yeah, that was kind of sad. I really, I didn't. Yeah, I don't like the way their story ended. It's too bad, you know. I love Demolition. Yeah.
People forget, like, they were over. They were over huge, but now they put them down in history as the Road Warriors ripoff, but they were popular.
No, yeah, and they were right up there with the War, even more popular than the Road Warriors at one point. Yeah, for years they kept that spot, and they worked some of the most greatest matches, like with the Brain Busters and the Heart Foundation. There were some really, really great matches. So, yeah, I was always a big fan of them. It's just too bad the way the business goes now at the end, and now they kind of get erased. But there's a lot of politics with that. So what are you gonna do?
Now, I know you could do Smash, but what about the Repo Man, who had one of the coolest musics ever?
Repo Man. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine too. Repo Man.
I don't know. I've never tried that one.
Do you remember the lyrics from his theme music?
I forget now. Come on,
It's all it is Repo Man. Like, it's like
Repo Man.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Over and over and over again with some, and then he did his little dance.
That was bad. Oh, we both touched our faces. We're in trouble.
Yes, I actually saw it was pretty funny on your YouTube channel. You and Brian Kendrick doing the putting the heads together thing.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun in him.
How did you know him? Just from the indie scene?
No, and I was still under contract, believe it or not, a couple years after the whole DX parody. So for the last 6 months of my contract, I was flown down to Memphis, and I was going to become a manager on air for the Fed at the time, for WWE at the time. So they had me training to become a manager, and after a lot of politics, because Kevin Kelly was in charge, and I mean, I was there were things I was going to do to replace Kevin Kelly on air. So like, he was burying me left, right, and center. Like, that guy made my life a living hell. Anyway, I finally, and it was Tracy Smothers who helped this happen, but I finally got the opportunity to manage all of Shawn Michaels' students on these independent shows in Memphis. While we were on the farm team there, while we were in the what is it called, the developmental. Yeah. So while we were traveling around, I was the manager of Brian Kendrick, Daniel Bryan, Shooter Schultz, who was an amazing athlete. It's too bad that he never got held onto, or he never got brought back, because he was a little bit bigger than the both of them, and he was amazing, such a great technical wrestler. And Lance Cade, who I think rest his soul, and I think we kicked him out like the first day of me managing them. We kicked him out of the group, but we also all lived together, so it was a lot of fun. We were on the road together. We were a clique. We were a group, and we lived together as well. We had a ball. They were actually they all had to take down the whole roster wasn't doing anything with the ring. They were known as the clique, Shawn Michaels students. They had to take down the ring every night. So that's how I became close with them. I started to just go and help them with the ring, and then we became friends. And I had this thing happen where I got kicked out. It was a really bad uh, situation in the States, where my place got robbed, and then I was being charged for what got stolen out of the hotel room. I'm like, where am I going to put it? This is where I live. I just moved to the States. Anyway, Molly Holly, Nora Greenwald, she saved my life that day, and brought me to the clique's house and asked them to let me live there. So, she did a lot for me there. It wasn't run well. And, I wish Jerry Lawler or Randy Hales could have been in charge, but they had Kevin Kelly and Terry Golden in charge. And, those guys made my life a living hell. You see a lot of me, a lot of my insanity and a lot of the shit I didn't get over, it comes from that last 6 months. You, you spend 3 years, you go through all this shit, you go through all this abuse, and you work your ass off to try to hold on and keep your job and keep your dream. And you go through all this shit, and then at the end, they just throw you out and they never talk to you or about you again. And, after a few years, you realize what happened, and it starts to screw up your mind a little bit. So anyway, that's where that happens. So yeah, sorry to bring that stuff up. It's deep rooted pain. Yeah, I'm working on my book right now, so at least it's like therapy. It's coming out in the book, and we'll figure it out. We'll get to the bottom of it. Hopefully heal. Like, it's been so long. I just need to heal and let it go. And I'm hoping the book helps me do that.
Yeah, the book is a good idea, and maybe that'll give you a second life. And there's all these companies. I don't know how many are going to be around after the lockdown, but
Yeah, good point.
hopefully you'll be picked up somewhere.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate that. We'll see. I don't even know about that, but yeah.
Well,
Even
not necessarily picked up, but like I'd love to see AEW use you, bring you in for a parody of something. Like,
oh yeah, I would have. Yeah, I would have loved that. There's only one person I know from AEW, so I reached out to them and I never got a response. But I would have been interested. I was actually trying to sing the national anthem for their first show, the way Mean Gene sang it for the
oh, that would have
first.
been funny.
Yeah, but well, I couldn't get through and I couldn't get a response. But you know what? Keep the dream alive, right?
Let's hear a few lines of the national anthem. Maybe some people will see it. The U.S. national anthem.
The U.S. Okay, let's try the U.S. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous light for the land was we won, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket rig loud, the bomber stinging out, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Very good. If
Thank
I
you,
was
thank
wearing pants, I would have stood up, but the camera would reveal I'm only wearing a sweater.
I should have kneeled. I'm just joking. I actually like their music better than our music for the anthem. So I once had the Canadian anthem in, and I'd put it to their tune. But anyway, we're not going over another anthem. I'm
I
pushing.
don't like how they mix like English and French in the Canadian anthem. I
Oh yeah.
notice a lot of people don't know what it switches over, so it always causes so much confusion.
I remember that it was played every morning, and I could never get the French part down, but I tried.
So where can people follow you? I know you're on Twitter. You got your YouTube channel.
Yeah, and you'll find me deactivating a lot because every time I try, but yeah, I'm struggling with mental illness, and I'm doing my best to get through it. So I had a heart attack, and I've had a rough road, but so you'll find me going in and out and deactivating a lot, and sometimes you'll see that my issues spill out online, which pretty much burned my bridges a long time ago. But what can you do? Um, I'm still trying to work on myself and better myself. So I'm working on a book. I'm working on a podcast right now with, like I said, with Dave Curran, and we're going to have a podcast coming out. And yes, you can find me on Twitter at Jason Sensation X when I'm activated. And I even ran for parliament. I ran for an MP for parliament here in Toronto, but I didn't end up winning. But I got 26 votes, and that's not bad for an independent. No, 126 votes.
Oh
Not
wow.
bad for a first try for an independent, but we gave it a shot. But it wasn't for me, But anyway, so yeah, at Jason Sensation X. I'm sometimes on Facebook. I'm sometimes on YouTube. But
Is
yeah,
that a throne you're sitting on, by the way?
it is my throne. Yeah, my mom's throne. Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Thanks. The
What
king.
would could you do a Jerry Lawler impression?
He's not a king. No, I can't do the king. I wish I could do the king. I can never do it. How about an Elvis? Wake up in the morning, you turn the tower on. You wake me to the top, and the hot water is gone. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You actually have a great Donald Trump one too, don't you?
Thanks. You know what I found the other day when I was in the grocery store? That they must have put tariffs on the barbecue sauce. They must have put tariffs on my favorite sweet Baby Ray barbecue sauce because it's gone. There's no more barbecue sauce in the store. But you know what? Speaking of wrestling, my favorite wrestler, my all-time favorite wrestler is The Wall. I love The Wall.
What about the Mountie? That's an easy one.
I love the Mount. I love Jacques Rougeau. You know what? Sometimes that'll come on. I have it on my playlist, and it's playing and I'm riding my bike, and I'll start singing it, and I'll always get a pop from strangers. But here it is. I'm the Mountie. I'm handsome. I'm brave. I'm strong. I'm the Mountie, and I enforce the law. You can try to run, but you will never hide. The Mountie always gets his man. I am the Mountie.
That was definitely an underrated gimmick. And I also think that the Rougeau brothers theme was one of the best ever.
From Montreal to Memphis, les vues français. All the pretty girls, the Rougeau's on the way.
Yeah.
Parlez-vous français, sorry.
And the whatever that music is at the start of it, it's just such a weird tune that like some of my friends have been driving with me and they'll notice if that song comes on, suddenly I'll start going 50 miles faster or something because I just get caught up in the song. Gives me a burst of energy.
For girls in cars.
I like that. Like I've listened to that Pile Driver album. I don't know how many times, but yeah. You know what? Here's a funny thing about that album. I interviewed Hillbilly Jim not too long ago.
Oh, cool.
And if you have the tape of Pile Driver, it says it was sung by Hillbilly Jim and Gertrude, which was his pig, right?
Yeah. So
and I asked him, I'm like, who is Gertrude? He doesn't know.
Really?
They were done in separate studios. He's like, I have no idea who Gertrude is.
Oh, that's crazy. You know what? That is actually a really good song. It's still a touching song. It's a beautiful song.
Yeah, if you think about like being on the road and being a wrestler,
Yeah,
I
it's a
mean, he
shoot.
does. Yeah, it's a great song. He actually has two gold records. He says from
No
each
way.
each of the wrestling albums.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Interesting. Cool.
and he's also the nicest wrestler I've ever met by far. Really great
That
guy.
yeah, I met him one time. Actually, it was Owen's funeral as well, but yeah, he was so nice to me. Very nice. I'd say Owen would probably be the nicest man I ever met in wrestling. And Mick
Yeah, I didn't
Foley.
get the chance to ever meet Owen, unfortunately, because I think I was in grade 10 when he passed away. So it was long before I got into the business.
I'm sorry to hear that, Hannibal. Yeah, but and Mick Foley too. What a nice person. He's done a lot. He's done a lot for me. He's a really great guy. He's good. He's a good dude.
I unfortunately had a bad experience with Mick Foley
No.
because the night of Survivor Series 97,
Oh yeah.
he went to the wrong hotel room, the wrong hotel, which happened to be the hotel that me and my friends were staying at. So when I
Okay.
went to get his autograph, he asked if we could drive him to his right hotel, being as cheap as we all know he is now. But on that ride, I guess back in those days, I didn't know like that there was heat between him and Flair, and I didn't understand what had gone on that night. We just assumed it was kind of part of the show. We knew something weird had happened, but we all expected like Brett to still be in Ottawa the next night. But I
Oh,
guess when he asked me who my favorite wrestler was, I said Ric Flair, and he went on a rant and he turned around, yelled at me. I remember he put his hand on my hand that was like on the back of his car, and he said, "You better learn some respect." And he told my friend's dad who was driving us, like, "Is this your son? You better be at like it's a good thing it's not your son because he doesn't know manners." And he snapped off on all of us in the car. But I guess it was
was he
just because he had
shooting
a
or was
bad
he
night.
working? Was he
What's that?
working you guys? Was he working you guys?
I think he was just in a bad mood because of the Survivor series.
Oh, gotcha.
And we later found out he had some issues with Flair. So I guess he didn't like that I said Ric Flair was my favorite because he was really on me. Why is he your favorite? But yeah, it was.
That
I've never
sucks.
met
Well,
him
I
since
guess
then.
we're all entitled to a bad day, right?
Yeah.
It's so out of character for him, but yeah, I hear you.
I remember though, like he did. I was kind of a cocky kid. I was always like half of a heel, so it didn't bother me that much. It was shocking, but I remember my friend's dad was literally shaken by it
Oh
because like
wow.
he wasn't a fighter or anything, and here's this 6'3", 300-pound guy
Jeez, yeah.
going off, and I just remember like he literally was shaken. So it's funny, and I know that. Like that was just a bad night. He was going through hell, but
Yeah.
I didn't have the
Funny,
nicest experience.
I did say once to him, we had this like 4 hour ride together. We're listening to Tom Petty, and he took me on the road for his comedy tour, pretty much almost for a decade. So he was really nice to me. He took care of me for a lot of it. So um yeah, it was we were on the road and we just we have these conversations, and then somehow Papa Pump came up, and I said Scott Steiner, I think he's one of the greatest of all time. And you should have seen Foley's face. Are you serious right now? I'm like, yeah, I'm serious. He's like, no, really. Are you serious? I'm like, yeah, I'm serious. Papa Pump. He's like, can you please tell me why you think that? I'm like, look at him. He's still going after all these years. Papa Pump is still going. And he was going way back then, and he's still hustling and he's still working his ass off. And he was one of the best, him and Rick. And then Mick kind of calmed down, but for a second there, it seemed like I had bothered him. But anyway, he just reminded me of that.
And yeah, he even had a heart attack recently, and I think he's already back in the ring since that heart
No
attack.
way, is he? What an animal. Oh my gosh. Well, bless his heart. I tried one more match after my heart attack. I have 4 stents in my body now. So I tried
Yeah.
one more match. And right at the beginning, I actually ended up working this a female bodybuilder in a tag match. Her name's Mindy O'Brien. sweetheart, wonderful person. But she pushed me at the beginning of the match, was a little close to my chest, and it really took me back, and I realized in that moment that I can't do this anymore. And I finished the match and I went on, and it took me a while to catch my breath. I was even yelling at the fans, "She tried to kill me. She tried to murder me. I have a weak heart." But it was really me just trying to catch my breath. It was really a scary moment. And I realized, geez, I don't think I can do this anymore. So it's too bad.
Well, I'm glad you seem to be doing better now, and you survived your match with Abdullah the Butcher too. You're one of the few from this generation that's wrestled him.
Well, it takes one to know one, my friend. Jeez Louise. I guess I'm lucky I didn't cut him. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, or
That
he
was
didn't cut. Was he bleeding in that match? With
No, he didn't end up bleeding. Yeah.
lucky you. Can you do an
Yeah.
impression of that asshole?
I don't know. You know what's funny? I can't really do it. I've never really tried. Hi, he's got kind of a voice like this. It's kind of I wish my sisters and my brothers could have been here. I don't know. I can't grasp his voice. I'd have to really focus
Hey,
on it a
champ,
little.
how you doing, champ? It
There you
is
go.
really high. It's
My
almost
last
early.
interaction with him, I actually did a podcast with Smith Hart, rest his soul. And Smith was doing a podcast, and he had me on faking as Austin. So he's like, "We're gonna get Abdullah. We're gonna call Abdullah. We're gonna play a rib on him." So we call Abdullah, and then Abdullah thinks he's talking to Austin. Like, "Hey, Abdullah the Butcher, I'm a big fan. Do you remember back in the Chamber of Horrors?" And he was going on thinking he's talking to Austin. "Steve, I was a big fan of yours too." And then Smith breaks kayfabe in the middle of it. He's like, "It's not really Austin. It's my friend Jason." And Abdullah wanted off the phone after. It's just sad. Anyway, it's kind of funny.
Well, lucky for you, I think his mind is long gone. He probably has absolutely no recollection of that.
Yeah, good point. Sorry to hear his mind gone, though. It's sad. CTE is pretty scary if you think about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know that he did the slicing thing, and he is a fucked up idiot for doing that. Should have stopped when he knew he had Hep C. But
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I know in his mind he doesn't understand what he did because like he's just not mentally there. He doesn't understand how that's dangerous, cutting
Wow.
someone with a used blade.
Yeah, it's good to hear that actually, because yeah, I remember in the match that I had with him, he just wouldn't stop, and I was overselling it, like, "Please, someone," but I told everyone I was going to oversell. So now I'm screaming for the match to end, but no one's going to end it. And I mean, he just kept slicing. He said he was just going to slice me twice and dig into those cuts, but he sliced me like 14 times. I mean, the guy just wouldn't stop. I mean, like, okay, man, I can't bleed anymore. Like it was,
Oh,
it
he
was.
was the one doing the blade job on you.
Oh yeah, and his blade, it it went under the tape, so he couldn't get a hold of it. So he ended up breaking a beer bottle and doing the cutting with the beer bottle. Like, I mean, the guy, and then he found his blade after and was able to do the cut. So it was, oh my gosh.
You're already
I
covered in
remember,
blood. Oh, I found the blade. Let me go after you again.
no, he finally got it out. I remember before the match, I was begging him if I could light his blade. He's like, "Fine, if we make you feel better," just because I just was so afraid of it being dirty. So at least he let me light it. But freaking it was like a blade he used the time before. It's scary, man, scary. And I got paid nothing for that too. This will all be in my book.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the issues I have with the hardcore wrestling. I know the fans like to see it, but what the fans don't understand is the people that do it, unless it's like in AEW, they're lucky to get $50 and they're like not only risking the injury from whatever, the glass or whatever, but the transmission. Because let's face it, you probably weren't tested before that match. We know he wasn't tested. It's like
Exactly.
independent companies just don't have the funding for that.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. And so yeah, and yeah, I second everything you just said there, and it's true. I had to go get tested after I found out your news. Really, that's when I went to get tested. I was scared then. I thought maybe I could be infected. So Thank goodness that, you found a resolution and your body was able to overcome that. I'm really happy to hear that. When I heard
80
that news,
grand, 80 grand later.
oh, really? I didn't realize that. You
No, I
needed to get a
wouldn't.
treatment.
The first one was covered by the government, but it didn't work. So I had to ultimately do one that wasn't covered that I got from the US, but it did work, thank God. But it took me
Wow.
years to get out of debt. I had to take out a line of credit for that one.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
sorry,
be
man.
happy he didn't juice, because if he had bled, I guarantee you he probably would have used the same blade.
It's not funny. It's good we can laugh about it now, but geez
Yeah.
Louise, it's awful, really.
Definitely. Well, on a good note to end this, thanks a lot for your time. This has been pretty. It's only supposed to be 10 or 15 minutes, but your impressions definitely made this go by pretty fast. Any impression you want to close this off with?
Thanks. Let me think. Geez, wasn't there a new one I was thinking of? I thought I learned a new one recently, but it's hard to
Can
remember.
you do Drew
Okay,
McDonald or whatever his name is? The guy that nobody can understand talking. That's the champion.
Drew McIntyre, I'm gonna kick you in the face. No, I don't know if I could really do it. But
The
how about
fans of this channel are old school, anyways. They don't even know who he is.
well, I wish him all the best. But how about I end it off with Louis Armstrong?
And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Support us on patreon.com for $1.99 a month to watch our full shoot interviews ad-free and help our channel grow. Follow us on Twitter at the Hannibal TV for instant updates.